I'm not okay with the fact that a buyer, especially a first-time home buyer, or a buyer that has been saving for 15 years to buy their first house, now has to pay an agent an additional % or 1.5%. They now need to come out of their pocket to pay that agent. I'm not okay with that, Steve. I literally got mad at the agent because she was holding the deal from going into escrow because we were only going to give her 2% and she wanted 2.5%. And her buyer is a first-time home buyer, and now she has to come out of pocket because that agent can't do enough business because they're so worried about that 0.5%. And she goes, well, it's taking away from my family. No, it's not. It's your lack of production that is taken away from your family. It's the fact that you don't know how to go out there and get more deals that you're gouging this one buyer over 0.5%.
I would disagree with you on that.
Okay, good. I like that. Let's have this debate.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Disruptors. Today we have Adrian Hernandez with My Home Sold, and he drove in from Dana Point, California to talk about how he went from $350K a year as a realtor to $7 million a year as a wholesaler. Now, guys, I'm on a mission to create 100 millionaires. The information on this show alone is enough to help you become a millionaire in the next 5 to 7 years. If you'll take consistent action, you will become one. And if you get value out of this show, please share this with someone that you like, or if you don't like them, but share this with them. That way we can all grow together. You ready?
Let's go.
All right. So,
Yeah.
appreciate you coming back on.
Dude, excited. Thank you.
I can't believe it's been 3 years since you were last on.
3 years.
Yeah.
That's wild. It doesn't feel like 3 years. It feels like 6 months.
It doesn't feel like 3 years. But, a lot has changed. Back then we were still doing the night show setup,
Yeah.
right? You joined Collective Genius. We get to hang out multiple times a year now.
Yeah, which
in
is cool.
person, right? But let's talk about what are some of the big things that have changed in the last few years?
Yeah. Well, what's going on, guys? I'm Adrian Hernandez, as Steve mentioned, out of Dana Point, California. My Home Sold. A lot's changed. I can't believe it's been 3 years, right?
Yeah.
I look back, and I was actually, my wife and I were going through the show the other day, and I'm like, I can't believe it's been that long, right? Well, what's changed is I got some gray hairs on my left-hand side now. Yeah. You can't see them?
No, it's cut down.
Okay, there's another one, some on this side. Anyway, so that changed, but our business has changed in general, right? We were all outbound marketing, so every deal we would get was from text messaging, cold calling, and we've transitioned. We're all inbound now. We went from 15 guys to 5 guys. We've completely consolidated the team. We went from a large, I'll say it, my ego just wanted this big office and this big team, and I realized that it was less profitable than a lean, mean operation. Yeah. So we were grateful to join Collective Genius. We were grateful to join your sales training, which if you guys haven't checked it out, shameless plug, it's absolutely incredible. Just that Collective Genius, being around all you guys has drastically just changed the landscape of our business. We thought we were doing good, and it's like, wow, no, now we're actually, so it's cool.
Yeah, well, that's great. So let's talk about that. You say you were entirely outbound back then.
Right.
Now you're entirely inbound. So for those that are still strictly outbound, and there's no judgment here. Like with this, we all start, right?
Right.
What has been the biggest differences? What has been surprising to you?
Yeah. So my partner, Nick Ramirez, shout out to Nick. One thing we noticed, we needed a lot of people for our outbound, right? When we had 20 cold callers and we were sending 10,000 text messages a day, we needed that floor, right? We needed the sales floor. There was so much coming in that they had to be on every single lead. Now it's not so much 1,000 leads, right? It's minimal lead. I won't say minimal, but it's less leads, more deals, right? We're dealing with more of the I need to sell versus well, maybe if the numbers line up, right? These people actually need to do something. So it's always been a mission to go on inbound, right? For 2.5 years we've been trying to be on TV. For 2.5 years we spent $250,000 trying to get on TV, and it never happened. But it was a blessing in disguise because we can all have the right marketing, but unless you have the sales team to help that marketing, you're just wasting money, right? And we noticed that. We noticed we were wasting a lot of money at the beginning because we didn't have our sales in order. We thought we did, right? We didn't know what we didn't know, and we thought we were bigger than what we were actually are. Yeah. So it was a really, when we joined Collective Genius, it was a good little the balloon popped, right? And it humbled us. But we're really grateful for it because we were able to tailor back, and we were able to make our sales operations better. We were able to make our infrastructure better. We were able to make our processes better. And that's really changed the trajectory of our business.
So that was my experience as well. When we switched from cold calling and texting to PPC, it's like, yes, it's cheaper.
Right.
At least at the time, it was cheaper cost per lead to do texting than it was for PPC. But we didn't measure effort or time or banging our head against the wall, right?
Right.
Like we didn't account for that.
Right.
And when like the light bulb went on, then it's like, yeah, we can actually cut off our overhead quite a bit. Now we'll spend more on marketing,
Right.
but we can cut off our overhead quite a bit, and we can cut down our management
Yep.
quite a bit. Which is really like we look at what's the part we hate the most. I think managing is up there. If it's not number one, it's top 3.
Yeah. The people, right? Yeah. It's the hardest part.
It's definitely the hardest part. So now, one of the things we talked about was like something happened and then you had to stop texting.
Right. Yeah.
What happened?
Well, the regulations changed, right? When we first got into text, rarely anybody was doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as we see in this industry, right, once one source gets going, everyone hops on it, right? And it just,
Well, we all
right?
copy and paste.
Yeah, exactly. So we were sending out, it was working. We were getting, it was incredible. We were getting deals over the phone. We would send out text messages. We would get 4 or 5 deals a week all over the phone.
Yeah.
Never even seen the person. A lot of these were all text messages. They wouldn't talk to us. They wouldn't get on the phone with us. They would get on the phone with escrow, right? Because they needed to do what they needed to do. But I can't count the number of deals we did just via text. Literally all text, never picking up the phone and calling them.
Text conversation, signed contract.
Signed contract,
Text
DocuSign.
message. So text message and DocuSign.
Yep.
And then finally when they open escrow, they'll talk to somebody.
Then they'll talk to escrow. We'd be like, hey, our escrow officer is going to reach out. Okay. You know how many people would text us? Just text me.
Yeah.
Just and so
I believe
obviously that
part.
changed.
I believe that part. The thing that's like hard to fathom is all the people that like would agree to sign a contract
Via text.
via text.
Incredible.
Yeah.
But at that time, it was just taking off, right? And then obviously regulation came in. It started getting difficult. We got hit with potential. They ended up going away, thankfully, right? But that scared us, right? That lawsuit scared us, and we started to look at things and go, okay, we can't be having this much risk exposure, right? And it was great because we would look at text messaging and look at cold calling, and you guys, those X's are big, right? When you look at cold calling, you can spend $10,000 to make $100,000, right? You can literally have a 10x return. It's not the same on inbound, right? Inbound, you're like 3x, right? 2.5x. If you have a 3.5x, a 4x on inbound, that's working. You're spending 100 to make 400, right?
Right.
So those numbers are different. But like you said, we weren't accounting for the management. We weren't accounting for the amount of time that we were spending on these 1,000 cold called leads to get one deal. So the X's make sense, but what about the time and effort? And that's what we weren't paying attention to.
So how was that transition? I mean, did you just go in one day? It's like, all right, we're changing models. Everyone go find a new job. Like,
Yeah.
what was that like?
No, it was a slow transition. As I mentioned, we tried to get on TV. That didn't work. So we said, all right, we'll revisit that later. So we went all PPC, and we joined multiple different PPC companies. We figured out what was working, what was not working. And so we started with PPC. And then right after PPC came the mailers, and then we were finally able to get on TV.
Why do you say you couldn't get on TV?
We hired, it was an agency that we hired, and it just didn't work out. It did, I believe in sharing good news, right? So it just didn't work out. And that's perfectly fine.
So it was incompetence or you were locked out?
We were locked out. We were locked out, told one thing and given another. And that went on for 2.5 years.
Okay, so you were talking to the companies like, hey, we want to get on TV, and they're like, you can't do it.
They're like, oh, no, you can. And then last minute, they're like, oh, no, you can't.
Right.
And instead of going there, we're going to put you on streaming, on demand. And I didn't want to do that.
Right.
So at that point, we pulled the plug, and I learned PPC. So I actually I don't think you know this, I run all of our in-house marketing.
Awesome.
So I learned PPC, grabbed a course, learned it, perfected it, right?
Yeah.
Mailers, perfected it, do all of our mailers on our own.
That's awesome.
TV, I'm now directly with the stations, right? There is no agency. I deal directly with them. I am the agency, right? And it's just, it's worked. It's really, really worked for us.
Yeah. Okay, so you took charge of marketing.
I did.
In some ways, you are the chief marketing officer.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I feel like eventually I got to let it go, and I'm slowly am, right? I brought someone on, and they're now running the PPC ads, and they're in charge of that. I'm still making sure they do the right thing. But for us, we needed to, right? We hit a threshold where we're like, okay, it's not working, and there has to be another way. And then I was meeting these guys that were, Casey in Vegas, right? they crush it. And I started to look at their marketing is in-house, right? I was at Pinedo, their marketing is in-house. And it was a light bulb. I'm like, you know what? I need to bring this in-house. So how I feel about it is I eventually need to delegate it, right? Delegate or stagnate. I know that's going to happen, right? You guys all have heard that saying. So I do need to delegate it, but I'm very grateful that I learned it because now I know what works and doesn't work.
Yeah. So like I started doing my own PPC, I want to say back in like 2011, right? And then at some point I was like, this is too hard. And I stopped doing it.
Right.
And then we hired the agency and that worked. Like Bateman Collective, like they've worked for us. And then we stopped buying houses. And then, I'm looking on the education side, right? The sales training side.
Right.
And we've tried so many agencies. And every single one just couldn't get it done. They couldn't get it done. It was crazy. There was just one day I was like, screw it. I'm in the marketing department.
Right.
And I learned the Facebook ads. I learned the copy. I learned the funnel and all the other stuff, right?
Right.
And now we got to a point where we can actually, so we brought it in-house and now we hired somebody who also has had success, and now they're doing it. And like, it is just crazy how different the energy is when you have a third party where you're just one of, 30 people.
Exactly.
70 people, whatever, versus like this guy is not only thinking about my business 40 hours a day or a week, he's actually thinking about my business 60, 70 hours a week because he gets paid on performance.
Yep. And what got me, Steve, we had an agency. A whole week went by, right? I'm like, where are the leads, right? 1, 2, where are the leads? I finally call. They're like, oh, Zapier's been broken for 2 weeks. When were we going to figure this out? But again, we're just a number on the list and they don't get to us till week 3 of the month. And so for week 1, week 2, no deals, and we don't see it till week 3. And then they're sending us these back leads that have already signed with other companies.
Oh, you were getting leads that you paid for.
Yes. 10 days,
weren't getting.
15 days later because Zapier was broken, but they didn't realize Zapier was broken because they didn't check on the account till week 3 because we were just a number. And when I saw this, I'm like, how much money did we leave on the table in 3 weeks, right? We're spending, at the time, I think it was like $250 a day, right? I'm like, this adds up, right? So when we saw that, I'm like, this has to change, right? This has to change. So we were not fearful to bring it in ourselves. One thing, guys, is we all need ego checks, right? We all need ego checks. And I'm very grateful for all the ego checks because it told me there's nothing wrong with you learning this. There's nothing wrong with you taking this on. And a lot of us think we need to go hire somebody. No, you need to focus on what you do. You need to go delegate it. Yes, to a point. I don't fully believe that. I'm not a firm believer in that at all.
Yeah, well, we go back and forth, right? Because like how we got started, you got started, how I got started, is we hustle and grind.
Right.
Grind our faces off, basically, right? We just go and go and go. And then we learn, you got to delegate, you got to hire this out, hire that out. And that works. But at the same time, there are times where it doesn't work. And it's really bad when it doesn't work.
You lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
And when you look at it, we lost close to $350,000 in marketing. I'm sorry, that comes a time where you just need to, something's got to change.
Yeah. And I still think it's not that you have to do it, right? It's not that you have to do it.
Right.
I made that decision because I just got tired of everybody else. And I felt like whoever I hire has to believe the same things I believe. So I need to learn it.
Right.
So now I can monitor the guy that I hired.
Right.
But you can still hire, just bring it in-house. And we're seeing this a little bit as a trend at CG.
We are.
Right? It's like, for everyone that doesn't know, it's collective genius. We're seeing this a little bit where people are like, let's bring in a person in-house who's handling all the stuff, which, parts of me is like, is that the right decision? Other parts of me is like, well, if you get a higher ROI.
Right.
Right. So
and if we hire the right person too.
Hire the right person.
Because you can also hire the wrong person. And we've all experienced that in all areas.
Countless times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, what was it like in baseball? If you hit 3 out of 10, like you're a Hall of Famer.
Right.
I'm not hitting 3 out of 10.
Yeah. No. No. And there has to be a time, right? And, Nick and I were talking about this. I'm like, dude, we learned it. Now it is time to bring on a CMO, right? And we are having those talks with certain people, but I'm doing it slow. I'm going to do it very, very slow. And even then, we're going to oversee them like a hawk because there's too much. We're now spending $300,000 a month in marketing. If we make a mistake, it's a massive mistake, right? And it affects the sales floor. And the whole sales floor is expecting to make money on that money. So we're also we're responsible for our salespeople. And they have families and they got to eat too. So for me, it's like, we can't leave it to chance.
Yeah, you got to be fiduciary there.
We have to.
Or a good steward of it.
100%.
Okay. So then, also, since we last did the show here, we got to hang out at WealthCon.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. You were on stage.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to somebody, it's like, I hope I don't have to go directly after Adrian. I hope there's a person that's a buffer between me and Adrian, because I don't want to go right after Adrian. And like I looked at it, okay, good, there is one person between us, because you are an animal when you're on stage.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Coming from you, that means a lot.
You're an animal. The passion, it is just reeking, right? It is like, you're an uncaged beast.
Yeah.
When you're on stage. What's that about?
Yeah. That's, I tapped into that. For me, it was, I really enjoy it. Like if I look at, my wife asks why, right? And I'm like, there's just a passion in me when I get on stage just to help somebody. And I'll tell you what it was. I saw somebody get on stage and they were passionate and they had energy that made me go, I want that. And so for me, it's like, can I influence somebody? Just one person in the audience.
You're talking to an earlier version of yourself.
I'm talking about earlier version. Yeah.
Okay.
The 16-year-old me who watched some guy in my parents' living room with so much energy that made me go, I want to be able to have this effect on somebody.
Yeah.
Right. And then I went to Tony Robbins at 19. And if you guys know Tony, all he is just a big freaking ball of energy just radiating at you, right? And I witnessed that
for like 20 hours a day.
Yeah, all day. Doesn't even go to the restroom, right? You're like, well, this guy's an animal.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I'm like, I want more of that because I was so moved. That event changed my life. I was this short Mexican kid from Fontana that just did not believe in himself. That was just real. I had it in me. I knew I had it in me, but there were all these layers, right? These beliefs, all these layers that just pulled me back. And when I went to these events, it changed everything for me. It tapped me into who I am today. And for me, if I can just give somebody an ounce of that, right, and their life can change, that would mean the world to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. What did you talk about?
Yeah, so it was about mindset, right? I believe that we all have the same systems. You guys have all gone on this, seen this show, seen great individuals on this show, and a lot of you have copied their systems and their processes. You may have hired their cold callers, you may have used their data, and we'll see it doesn't work for some people and it works for others. And what I'm a big believer on is changing the BS in our head, right? That belief system in our head that takes us from where we want to go to where we don't want to go. Right. And a lot of you are thinking, when I ask the question BS, a lot of people think bullshit. Right. And it is. It's bullshit beliefs that hold us back. I've given the same list to one individual and the same list to another individual, and they both work aggressively hard on it, and one gets more deals than the other. Is it timing? I don't think so. I think it's the belief system. What they, at the end of the day, the energy they put out, right? I'm going to win regardless of what happens. And when you look at all of the successful entrepreneurs, all of the successful, the athletes, what is it? It's hunger. It's hunger. They're hunger to win. They get on that court, and Steph Curry gets on that court, and he knows he's going to win. Yeah. And there are games that they lose, but in his mind, he's going to win, right? Kobe, Mamba mentality, right? I'm going to win. I believe some of us, we have the vision, we want to, but there's just this little belief system that holds us back from getting to where we are to where we want to go. And if we can change that, if we can alter that, it speeds up the process.
Yeah, I think the kind of a bit of a desire component. And like, I don't know. How old are you?
Oh, it's a good question. How old am I? 34.
34. Okay. So I got 11 years on you. And the reason why I bring this up, you may be a Kobe guy, right?
Right.
I'm a Jordan guy.
Okay. No, I'm a Jordan guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite quotes from him was like, I've never lost a game. I just ran out of time.
Right. I love that quote.
Right. It's just like, if there was a little bit more time, I would have outwilled you.
Right.
Right. I would have crushed you.
Right.
Just a little bit more time.
A little bit more time.
So, so talk about that. So you say like, the difference is in the belief system. So how can someone change it where, with same exact circumstances? You're right. Like there are people that watch this show who are using the same exact tools, right? Same list, same service provider, same CRM. And there are some people that take that information and then in a few short years or even a year later, they're just crushing it.
Right.
And other people are like, the leads suck, the system doesn't work, I was sold a bill of goods, it's just another guru selling me another product.
Yep.
Right? Because we hear those people too.
Yes, we do.
how do you go from a person that's like, I knew that guru guy was selling me a bill of goods, to the guy that's like, man, I can't believe they give us this information for free.
Yeah. I'm going to tailor it back and keep it super, super, let's just, where we can all utilize this, the environment. And I want to challenge everybody to grab a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. And on the left-hand side, write down everybody that is always, say, yeah, they're negative, but when you go to share something with them, they're not enthusiastic about what you're doing, right? They're just always they're always shooting it down, right? They always have something to say.
There's a reason why it won't work.
Right, reason why it won't work, right? Well, you're cold calling, that's never gonna work, right? And even though you're doing it, right, you still hear this voice. And on the right-hand side of the page, I want you guys to write down everybody who is always like pushing you, right? They hear it and they're like, dude, go for more, go, you could do this. And what we need to do is we need to get rid of everybody on the left-hand side of that page, right? And some of you are like, well, that's my family. Okay, well, maybe we don't completely get rid of them, but we have to create some boundaries. Maybe stop telling those people what you're doing.
Right.
Maybe stop telling those people what you are trying to do, because every time you do, all they do is just with the hammer smash you down. And I had to realize this. I remember taking out a sheet of paper and I looked at everybody on the left-hand side and I'm like, this is not good. No wonder why I'm not getting there. Because every time I get a little bit ahead, I share this with these people and they just bring me back down. And even though I may be making the calls, subconsciously I'm like, they're right. This isn't going to work. No one's answered for a whole hour. No, they're right. No, this isn't. And all I did was put off that energy of it's not going to work, right? And so when we surround ourselves with those people that are, yes, you can do it, for me, everything changed, because now that was my new environment. My environment was, you could, it's possible. And that it left seeds of possibility, not seeds of doubt. And rather, if we all know it or not, somebody is leaving you some sort of seeds. What are those seeds germinating and creating, right? What trees are being planted in your head? And for me, I want seeds of growth. I want seeds of opportunity, not the other way around. And I've seen both sides of it.
Well, you make a good point. Like, don't share your hopes and dreams with the negative, negative Nancy's or whatever, right? And the other thing too, something I learned from a coach was that you don't have to say, cut off your mom.
Right.
But maybe you talk to her once a week or once a month versus every day.
Right.
If she's that person that's always going to crap on your dreams. And it sucks.
Right.
She put you on this planet. But if she's the one that's holding you back, like, you got to just either say less to her about what you're doing, or go to reduce the exposure. I mean, look, my parents, they love me. They
did.
Absolutely love me, right? And they want me to win, but they also say things in the very beginning, right? When are you going to go back to a real job? Right? And it's like, what do you mean go back to a real job? Like, I'm working hard here.
This is my real job.
This is my real job, right? But they're saying out of love.
Right.
Out of care. They don't like seeing their son struggle.
Exactly.
But the words that come out of their mouths still, even with love and care, still plant seeds of doubt.
Yes, they do. And they carry with you. They carry with you on a sales call. They carry with you in your energy. I remember I would have a great morning and I would get on the call and the rest of my day would be crap because my parents said something that just threw me off.
Right.
So I'll never forget the conversation I had with my mom. Because see, I was a big Mike Ferry guy, right? And so every day I would get in the office at 7 a.m.
And you have to have a powerful mindset to be a Mike Ferry guy every day.
Oh yeah, just getting yelled at, right? But every day I was in the office 7 a.m. I would role play from 7 to 8. From 8 o'clock, I was on the phones calling expireds, and then for sale by owners, and then I was doing circle prospecting till noon. Well, my mom every day would call me at 10. And I'll never forget the day I picked up the phone and I said, Mom, I'm sorry, but I cannot take your phone past 12 o'clock. Unless somebody has died, do not call me. And a matter of fact, wait until 12 o'clock to let me know, because there's nothing I can do about it, right? And I remember having that conversation, and she was quiet. And then I said the next thing, I don't want to hear about any negative news. I love you. I know you love me. But I'm trying to do something. And every time we have this conversation, it just brings me down. So can you do me a favor? I don't want to know about what's going on in the family. I don't want to know what's going on unless somebody is dying, then tell me about it, but after 12. And I'll never forget, she goes, I really respect that. I am sorry. Thank you.
That's a very healthy response.
And it was huge, dude. And till this day, like, I'll call her at 10 and she'll be like, it's are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, Mom, I don't prospect in the morning anymore. Like it's different, right? But we have to create those boundaries. You have to create them with your family. Sometimes you need to create them with your spouse. There's certain boundaries that have to be set for you to keep a good mindset in what we need to do. Because make no mistake about it, it's hard. It's hard. And when you're going through it and you're in the weeds of it, it's even harder. So we need that environment, right? It's how trees, let's look at just nature. Right? A tree in a bad environment is only going to grow so tall.
Right. Yeah. So that's huge. Anything else as far as mindset that you wanted to speak on before we move on?
Yeah. The next thing is creating a vision. You know, one thing that coach helped me with, shout out to Joe DiRaffaele, is he knew I struggled with this mindset thing. Right. And I believe that what you are going through is preparing you to help a person. And I forgot the exact quote, but whatever you're going through, you are preparing yourself to help the future younger you, if that makes sense, right? Like everything I'm going through, I believe God puts certain people in my life that were very similar to things that I gone through so I can help them, right? And so one thing that really, really helped was creating a vision letter. I want to challenge you all to get out a piece of paper. I don't care where you're at in your life. I don't care if you're just getting started in wholesaling, just getting started in real estate. Take out a piece of paper and write out what your life would be like in 10 to 15 years. Dream big. I want you to just write down as you're writing it, you're gonna be like, this is a bunch of BS, right? Like there's no freaking way, but just dream. If it's a Ferrari, write down the damn Ferrari. It's a 10,000 square foot house, write down the 10,000 square. If it's passive income, whatever it is that you see, but I want you to dream big. I want it to be a 4 or 5 page letter of how you see yourself, your family, the cars you're driving, the house you're in, the money you're making, the passive income, and dream super big. And then every year, see if you can do it a little bit bigger. See if you could do it a little bit bigger. And for me, this helped me change my perspective on what I believed could happen and not happen. Because when I wrote it down, I thought it was complete BS. But then all of a sudden, Steve, I look back. Yeah. And I just read a 10-year. And 90% of it is there. Yeah. And this was 2015 when I was an agent in Rancho Cucamonga who was I thought was making money, but I really wasn't making money, right? And I look back and I'm like, wow, only if I dreamed bigger. If I thought bigger.
So I became a licensed realtor in 2007.
What a great time.
Great time. Right. And I want to say it was around that time. It was either end of 2007 or beginning of 2008. And I went to a Brian Buffini conference, right? The Buff. So I went to that conference and he was like, whatever, like the first coaching program I went through, it wasn't a coaching program, it was a course. First course I went through was 100 Days of Greatness. It was a good course.
Yeah, I remember that course.
And so I went through that course, went to his event, and I remember the exercise, which was write down what you want to be true in 10 years, right? Same exact exercise you just mentioned. And I wrote them down. And at the time, I wrote down my wish list, but I couldn't see a path to how I get there. Right. It's like, I'm writing this down, but I mean, come on, like, can we do this? You know, like if we hit 30%, that'd be pretty cool, right? And I looked at it because they held Aaron to the bargain. They mailed it to me 10 years later. And I wish I know where it is right now. I remember opening, I was like, holy shit.
Did it happen?
Like 80% of it happened.
Dude, let's go.
But when I wrote it, that version of me couldn't even picture it happening.
Right.
And 80% of it coming true, it's just crazy.
There's something there.
There's
something there.
Yeah.
So you've heard of Thatch Nguyen?
Yeah.
So Thatch has this saying, and I was very grateful to have Thatch in my life at a very early age. And Thatch used to always say, dream big, and this is spelled with a PH, okay? And fakao, right? So dream big and fakao, right? It's even his license plates, meaning fakao, it's gonna happen, right? Like, don't worry about the how, just be able to have the willingness, be able to have the courage to write it down and then go to work and let whatever you believe in do its thing. Right. And 10 years later, you got 80% of it.
Yeah.
So cool, dude.
But there's something there.
There's something.
Right. So again, like I think everyone is listening, everyone's watching, like write it down. Take the time to write it down because can't explain how the universe works, but it does. It does do it. Yeah.
And I'd rather not leave it to chance. I rather, for all of you, right, don't leave it to chance. Write it down because time is going to, 10 years is going to get here whether we like it or not. So we might as well write down something great. Obviously I'm not talking today. We might as well write down something big because something's going to happen.
Right.
And then next, take grammar.
And
Or learn how to speak.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I mean, I think because I went through that same exercise with Sean Terry, and I should do it more often because it was one of those Flip the Freedom events, right? It's like the letter to yourself, and like that all the stuff we do with NLP, the stuff we do in sales training, human psychology, is like, picture this new reality. But when you can see this new reality, when you can experience in your mind's eye this new reality, it makes everything easier. It gives yourself permission to pursue it.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and not just in business, but with your, one thing I'm challenging myself on is I never wrote down what my marriage with my wife would look like. Right. And it's like now being conscious of this, I'm like, now I'm writing down what my marriage is going to be like with my wife 5 years from now. What's the relationship with my kids when they're 20? Right. And just having the courage to write that down is big.
Yeah. And then another thing was there have been some real estate changes.
Yeah.
In the industry. One of them was this NAR lawsuit deal. So I read some crazy stat. Because, the whole lawsuit was like people are paying more for houses because buyer agents are collecting commissions, and we can just get rid of the commissions. Buyers don't have to pay as much, right? And I want to say a month or two ago, I read the stat as like the average buyer commission now is higher than it was prior to the NAR lawsuit. So realtors are making more money now per transaction than before. So the whole argument went out the window, and now buyers are paying more and paying out of their pocket versus before the seller paying for it.
Right.
Right. So what is your opinion on the matter here?
This is gonna get me pretty fired up, right? So sorry, but not sorry. This is the problem. I'm for the change, right? I'm for the change. Most sellers realize they need to pay commissions, right? And for the most part, every single seller that we've had, they're hey, we get it. We understand we need to pay commissions to bring buyers to this house.
This is the norm.
This is the norm. Cool with that. All good. This is what I'm not okay with. I'm not okay with the fact that a buyer, especially a first-time home buyer or a buyer that has been saving for 15 years to buy their first house, now has to pay an agent an additional % or 1.5% because that seller isn't offering it. They now need to come out of their pocket to pay that agent. I'm not okay with that, Steve. And I was recently in a transaction. I'm in a transaction right now where I literally got mad at the agent because she was holding the deal from going into escrow because we were only going to give her 2% and she wanted 2.5%. And her buyer is a first-time home buyer, single mom. You can tell she's been working her off to finally afford a down payment. And now she has to come out of pocket because that agent can't do enough business because they're so worried about that 0.5%. And she goes, well, it's taking away from my family. No, it's not. It's your lack of production that is taken away from your family. It's the fact that you don't know how to go out there and get more deals that you're gouging this one buyer over 0.5%. Yeah. Let's be honest. $5,000 is not a lot of money to you, but it's a lot of money to your buyer. But for us, we get caught up in these, well, they need to pay it. They need to pay it. No, you need to go do more deals.
Yeah. So I would disagree with you on that.
Okay, good. I like that. Let's have this debate.
I've got some big news, and you'll want to hear all of this because I'm going to give you the best bonus ever at the end of this video. You all know that I've been providing sales training for 6 years now, and I've had the opportunity to train hundreds of the best teams in the country and thousands of individuals as well. And they've all had wild success along the way, some of which you've even seen on this podcast. You also know Ian Ross, who has been coaching alongside me now for over 2 years. He's the biggest sales geek ever, and he's been training business owners and individual contributors ever since he started working here. He even runs the Close More Sales podcast. But we had a problem. There was a lot of confusion. What is it exactly that we sell here? Is it Disruptors training? Is it Steve Trang training? Or is it Close More Sales training? It's none of those. It is objection-proof selling. Ian runs objection-proof selling for business owners and individuals. I run objection-proof selling for teams where I coach their entire team. And to celebrate the rebrand, I want to give you something that I never would have thought been possible until recently. We've been training this AI bot for over a year now to score all of our sales calls internally. Every call we run, we have the bot review the call to Ian and mine exact standards for sales. We run every one of our team members' calls through the same exact AI bot. And now we're giving it to you for free. This bot will review your calls based on dozens and dozens of metrics. It will tell you what you did well, what you can do better, again, by the standards of the objection-proof selling formula. And if you want to use our bot for free, just head over to our website, objectionproof.ai. Again, objectionproof.ai. I want to emphasize here, you're getting access to our bot, which allows you to get better at sales for free so that you can make even more money now without having to spend another dollar. Go check it out now. So, what is market value, right? We talked about this before. Brent Daniels is always screaming about this, right?
Right.
The market is whatever the buyer will pay.
Correct.
In this instance, it's the buyer agent commission. Now, look, I hated this change. I think the way things were before was totally fine because it was a socially accepted norm.
It was.
Right? So unless like people were really up in arms about like buyer's agent being paid by the realtor or by the seller, unless someone like a lot of people were up in arms about it, like why are we changing it?
Right.
Why are we changing 100% of the country for what like a handful of people are upset about?
Right.
Right. But if this is the change, then we switch with the change. So I don't think she should be upset about not getting paid the other 0.5%. She could have been a lot more creative in finding solutions for it.
Right.
She could talk to, I don't know, the lender, unless the buyer is capped out on like the monthly payments.
Right.
You could talk to the title company.
Right.
Having some sort of agreement. Hey, you guys kick down your fees a little bit so that we can all eat together. She could have called you. It was like, look, if we bump the price by $5,000, can you agree to pay me the 0.5% difference?
Right.
I don't know if she did all those other things.
Right.
But that's where I would start.
Yes.
Right. I actually, as all this was going down, was kind of saddened that I had stopped doing real estate because this is all the stuff we learned in the Craig Proctor coaching.
Right.
Right. So like I said earlier, I started in Brian Buffini, but Craig Proctor is the one that made the biggest difference in my business because he taught me marketing. He taught me business.
Right.
And that's when we were doing buyer agent commissions before this whole deal was going down.
Right.
Because my ask of you is not just that I'm going to get the 3% from the homeowner. I'm also going to ask the realtor, I'm going to ask the homeowner for another 0.5%. My goal is to get 3.5% every transaction.
Right.
Not 3. Just like our goal in every listing appointment was to get 7 or 8% commission.
Correct.
Not 6.
Right.
Everyone else can have 6.
Right.
I'm asking for 7 or 8.
Right.
So I got no problems with this realtor asking for more. Now, if she can't find another way, that's on her to not being able to find another way.
Right. And I agree with you on the find a way. What I don't agree with is the agents who don't find a way and then make their buyer back out of a house that they really want over $2,500 that they could have found a solution for.
Right.
And so what's your opinion on those agents?
They suck. I mean, like,
No, I was saying it.
like we were in the problem-solving business.
Right.
We get paid commensurate to the problems that we can solve. Right. So she's got to find a way to solve it. Right. And again, like the simplest way is, hey, Adrian, look, the buyer wants to make this deal happen. You want to make this deal happen. I want to make this deal happen.
Right.
Everyone wants this deal to happen. How can we make it happen? I mean, look, we have this conversation every single time an appraisal comes in low or inspection is really bad.
Yep.
Everyone comes to the table. Buyer, seller, both realtors. And then the lender gets dragged into it. They don't want to get dragged into it. Right.
Yep.
And then sometimes the title company. Every once in a long while, the home inspector has to kick in like $50.
Yeah, somebody's kicking in money, right?
This happens. So like, yeah, you got to solve the problem.
100%. I was not okay with the way in which that agent was handling it. And on top of, they're making us pay the broker $250 file management fee. Then that just I lost it at that point.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you're making your buyer also pay for your broker transaction fee of $250. Yeah. There has to be other solutions here, right? And now when we look at it, where do those problems come from? The agents doing 1 to 2 deals a year, right?
For sure. Those are the ones that are a lot less amenable because they need this deal to close. Right. I think that's part of where you're going is like, just do more production.
Just do more production. Right.
Realtors that need this deal to close. I mean, some wholesalers are the same way, by the way.
100%.
Right? The ones that need this deal to close are the ones that are causing most of the problems, right?
100%.
If you just make more money, do more deals, you're not going to have this problem.
You won't have this problem, right? But it's easier said than done too. And I get that.
Well, that goes back to the mindset though.
100%. Right. And it also goes back to, I mean, do you really care about that client enough to get the property? And for me, right, I want to do good by doing good. So if that means I need to cut 0.5% to make this deal work, we're cutting 0.5% to make this deal work, right?
For sure. I'm going to ask for the moon, but I'm also used to commissionectomies, right? Like as a realtor, I mean, the number of times where I was like, okay, we had a listing appointment, you're the homeowner, and we agreed that there's a refrigerator, washer, and dryer we're going to convey. You agreed, I agreed, I didn't put it in the listing agreement. Right? But we agreed on it. And then a buyer comes along, writes a contract, and says refrigerator, washer, dryer, convey. Okay. And I talk to you. Hey, Adrian, buyer wants refrigerator, washer, and dryer to convey. This is the terms of the contract. And the seller says, okay, that's fine. Right? And then closing day, buyer shows up. There's no refrigerator, washer, dryer. And you call the homeowner. Hey, what happened to the refrigerator, washer, and dryer? It's like, oh, we took it. It's like, that's not what we agreed upon in the listing agreement. That's not what we agreed upon during the contract. But what are we going to do about it? Like, well, that's your guys' problem. Right? Not unusual for a homeowner to say this. And now you, as the realtor, as the listing agent, have to cut your commission so the buyer will close.
It's funny you bring that up. Were you in our office yesterday? We had the same thing happen. We closed. All the appliances are gone. They said, figure it out.
They don't really care.
No, they don't.
Care about,
they don't.
They don't care about our commissions.
They do not. Yeah. So long story short, we're buying appliances.
Right. And that's how it goes. But that goes back to like, if you're doing enough deals, you can, it's like, all right, screw it. I don't want to waste any more time on this. Move on to the next deal.
Right.
Versus the guys doing one or two, they need every little bit.
Yeah.
But there's also been some other changes, right? So we talked about, the texting lawsuits. Now we just talked about like the buyer agent commission. But there's some wholesaling laws. RJ Bates has been blasting me about South Carolina, which is just ridiculous. He's a crazy person, right? But I saw something this morning where someone was texting me like, hey, they think novation's going away in South Carolina as well, right? And so there's lots of regulations, obstacles, things coming along.
Right.
So what are you guys doing to prepare for all that?
Yeah. So we never took on novations. We're in California. I was never I never bought into it. Reason being, we're still in California, right? So we do net listings, right? So a little similar to a novation. The only thing is there's
drives me absolutely insane that net listings are legal in California, the most quote unquote consumer protection state in the country's okay with net listings. But anyway, actually real quick, let's explain what net listings are.
Yeah. So net listing, seller says, I want $200,000, right? We look on the market. We think we can get $260,000. So I say, great, I'm going to give you $200,000. That's going to be a net offer to you. We're going to put the home on the market at $200,000, and anything we get over is going to be what we earn, right? Now, I'm not going into that deal without knowing we're not getting 40, 50 over, right? And then that's your net offer to you. Anything over pays for the agent commissions, your escrow costs, title costs, all your closing costs, all that good stuff. And then whatever's remainder is our commission, right? And the way we pitch it is, let us put our money where our mouth is. Let us go show you that we can actually do this. And hey, if we do get way more, we'll kick you back. There was the last deal, we kicked them back $15,000, right? They made way more than any other cash offer, and they were enthusiastic about it. They loved it. We have a freaking ridiculous 5-star review from it because it was like, I can't believe anyone gave us this option. And so that's how we position it, right? They sign off on the listing agreement. They're signing off on the purchase agreement. They're signing off on the seller estimated closing statement. They know how much we're making, and there has been some times where they put some fuss up about it, and we just kick them back. We give them more money, and it's always worked out in our favor.
Yeah. Net listings are a great solution. If you have that as an option, right? Like California, Texas. I don't know how many states. For sure not in Arizona. But yeah, I think that's a fantastic listing. Although our workaround here, I don't know if I should say this being recorded. So our solution for a net listing is a seller will never be upset paying you less commission.
Right.
So in lieu of a net listing, I would just charge you a stupid amount of commission, and then I had just reduced the commission as necessary to make the deal happen.
Oh, I like that.
So it's not a net listing.
Right.
I'm just charging a lot of commission. And it's like, oh, the numbers didn't work. I'll take less commission. Are you okay with that? No one's going to argue that. But if I say, hey, I'm going to charge you 6%. It's like, hey, by the way, the commission's going to be 10%. You okay with that? They're not going to be okay with it.
No, they're not going to.
If I ask for like 12% commission, it's like, hey, on this one, we're going to make 9. We're not going to get the full 12. Are you okay with that?
Right.
Right. So, so net listings are not legal in Arizona. That was my workaround.
Interesting. Well, another thing we're doing too is, so like we have this house. I mean, I got the floors redone, paid to get the floors redone, paid to get the outside cleaned up, paid for the landscaping. And that's all cost for me that if it doesn't sell and they decide to cancel, I'm losing that money. Right. But for them, they have no money. The cash offer doesn't work, but we know we can get more on the market. So we're just getting creative. I'm finding different solutions, and it doesn't work for everybody. We have some people are like, absolutely not. That's totally fine, right? Yeah. We have our cash offer. That doesn't work. We can list it. That doesn't work. Thank you for calling in, right? But we're it's funny. I was just talking about this earlier. I don't consider myself a wholesaler, right? We consider our company as a company that provides solutions to get your home sold, period. And if it happens, my home sold, right? Yeah. Hence the name. If we happen to buy it, great. We happen to wholesale it, great. We happen to net list it, great. But either way, that house is selling, right? And it's going to chop down into many different ways.
Yeah, that's awesome. So anything else you're doing as far as like preparing for what's going on?
Yeah, I'll tell you what we're not doing. We're not calling any, this just drives me freaking crazy. And it's the bad characters in this industry that is really giving us all these tightening of regulations, right? We're not calling anybody the day of closing and asking for a price reduction after we're making $50,000. Yeah. And I'm seeing these videos on YouTube, Steve, and they're driving me freaking crazy. Or, I'll see it in my local market where somebody's posting a video. It's the day of closing. The seller's expecting to close on that day. You're already making $50,000 and you're calling the seller on the day of closing going, yeah, hey, we're not going to close unless you lower the price 30 grand. There is no morals. There is nothing good about that. No. And that's what's going to cause the regulations. That's what's going to cause all this BS in this marketplace, because you have these bad characters ruining the industry. Why? It's greed. You're already making money. They're happy. Why are you ruining it? Yeah. Right? And they're the ones that we see, they're like this, and then they vanish, right? And then you have your other companies that they stay true to their morals, right? They stay true to what they're doing, and they're always going like this, right? And it drives me crazy. I see it on social media, and I don't get it.
They're posting videos about this on YouTube?
They're posting videos about this on YouTube.
Yeah.
I just had this conversation with Doug. Doug's like, he's flabbergasted. There's someone in Arizona, we'll talk about it later. There's someone in Arizona that posted a video on YouTube. Yeah. He goes, Adrian, I just don't get it.
Yeah. Very, very unfortunate.
Very unfortunate.
And those are the ones that are going to get this industry regulated.
Yes. And you have a lot of new wholesalers and new agents that watch this and investors. You guys do business the right way. Yeah. There's plenty of business out there. There's plenty of money to be made. You're not going to get very far ripping people off and doing this whole bait and switch on the day of closing. These people have plans.
Yeah. Well, they're relying on the money.
Yes.
Coming the day that you promised us they were going to get it. They're making life-changing decisions based upon not a promise, but a signed agreement, a signed contract that you're going to do this. It drives me crazy too. As a matter of fact, there was some big news about a month ago here, right? Because the Attorney General in Arizona is going after 2 particular wholesalers. Well, more than 2, but mostly 2, right? They have a third partner, but mainly like they were named over and over again, right? Sam and Cam, over and over again. And it's because they were doing things like locking up a house that's in pre-foreclosure, and then the day or the week before foreclosure, it's like, hey, the price that we agreed on doesn't work. We're going to need to drop the price. And they're not releasing the memorandum. And so the homeowner either has to agree to coercion, right? Or lose the house due to foreclosure. And this went on for many, many years.
Wow.
Parts of me is frustrated it took this many years for them to get busted.
Right.
Because friends of mine in the industry or submitting them to the Attorney General years ago.
Wow.
Nothing happened, right? So they're finally going down. And it's looking bad. And the problem is not them going down. That's the good news. The problem is what happens as a consequence.
The ripple effect.
Of these 2 bad actors.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's somebody, Central California, who calls escrow the day of closing, calls title, holds everything until I call you.
That's just their practice.
Hold everything. Day of closing. Hold everything. Because remember, escrow and title, they're still going to proceed, right? So they'll call them, we have an issue. Nobody do anything. And if the seller calls you, tell them to call me.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll let it go on for weeks until the seller reduces the price.
Wow. I'm surprised the Attorney General of California doesn't come for this person's head.
It's a matter of time.
Yeah.
And then we'll see regulations in California.
Right. Which I think I've heard there's some stuff that's coming down in California. We'll see what happens. But I've heard murmurs, right, of bills that are being not passed, but proposed, right, in conference. So we'll see where that goes. Yeah. Now, you went from $350,000 a year, GCI, gross commission income as a realtor.
Doing it.
Right? Doing it. I mean, there are a lot of people that are happy with $350K GCI, right? Because that's not 3 mil. It's 30 mil? No. What's that? 10 mil? Right? Yeah, 10 mil production.
10 mil production.
Right? 350K as a realtor. And then you went to the wholesaler side. Some would say the dark side, right? How do you go from $350 a year in gross commission income as a realtor to $7 million a year as a wholesaling organization?
Labels down to one word: resourcefulness. Before, I was just giving resources to a seller. That was just a one option listing base. And as I mentioned earlier, there are multiple different ways a homeowner can get a home sold. And that opened up the floodgates. When we got introduced to, Tylian Guerrero has always been a friend of mine, but he was the one that was like, hey, you guys are wholesaling. We didn't even know we were wholesaling, right? I was doing flips in 2015. Nick came in 2019. He was helping me find flips, and we were passing on a lot of these. And finally, we're like, what are we doing? Like, why don't we know this investor. Why don't we just see if he'll give us a finder's fee, right? Finder's fee. Right? We'll pass it to him, give us $5,000. Pass it to him, give us $5,000. And then finally, Tyler's like, you guys are wholesaling. I don't know if you know this, but it's a thing called wholesaling, right? And then that sparked off the wholesaling. It was when we met guys like you, like guys like Hopkins, the Pineda, like when Pineda was in it, when we met all these guys, like that's what really, we got to see what we didn't know, right? We don't know what we don't know. Now it's out there, right? Now it's very talked about, but when in 2019, no one was talking about it, right? I think Carlos was just starting to create his seminar that he was doing, right? Yeah. And it was right at the beginning. So what really changed was I got out of my own way and we got resourceful with clients. We started giving other options, right? We started giving the client a different route. And we noticed that we came across a lot of speed bumps on how to do that, but we noticed that we were able to serve more people, right? And we also changed markets. I wanted to be this big, luxury agent, right? Who sold all these. That was my ego. My ego wanted me to be a big luxury agent. And that's not for everybody, right? I personally do not like doing broker opens. I personally do not like doing open houses on the weekends. And so for me, it was also like, I was doing it, right? And don't get me wrong, $350,000 was a great living, but I was also not happy, Steve. There was nothing happy about what I was doing. I didn't enjoy it. I hated doing open houses. And that also could have been because I did them for 10 years straight, right? And so for me, it was also a passion change too. When I look at this wholesaling and this investment side, I mean, we're now marketing. I'm able to use my creativity, right? We're able to, I feel like we're actually building a real business, right? Where before I felt like I was an independent contractor, right? Don't get me wrong. I was helping people, but I was under a brokerage and I personally wasn't fulfilled from it.
I can totally see you buttoned up. You've got the personality.
Dude, tie and all, bro.
You got the personality.
Tie, little pocket square.
Right. With the open houses and probably, like the music going on, the fireplace going. I can see this.
Baked cookies.
Baked cookies.
I can
see this.
Oh, it was real.
Yeah.
Oh, it was real. The other day on your sales call when you said you would walk into a listing appointment with the presentation and your iPad and that was me.
Yeah.
That was me. Full-blown projector. All right, guys, this is what we're going to talk about. We have 1 of 3 options today. Either you're going to decide to list your home with me, or you may decide to list your home with me, or I might decide not to take your listing.
Yeah. I still remember, I was so happy. There was a time, was it like 2016, somewhere around there, right? Where they had just gotten the little projectors out, right? So you could plug in your laptop. So you can do your listing presentation on the
wall. I had one.
It was like such a massive innovation for the realtor world.
Right.
Yeah. Oh God, embarrassing.
Because I was door knocking. Now what was cool is I was door knocking on a Segway. So I upgraded, right? I used to door knock, and there's a picture, right? I got to find it and send it to you. I was door knocking, and eventually I started going to these big lots, right? Acre lots. And I'm like, dude, it take me 10 minutes to get through freaking to one door to another. So I got this Segway, and it just changed everything, dude. Because I would pull up, and they would come outside and just talk about the Segway, and before you know it, we're inside the house talking about the house.
Yeah, it was a conversation piece.
Conversation piece.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, and then broker opens. You were going in buses with like other people. Is that what you're talking about?
I never did the buses, but I would have to do the brokers open where I set up, have all the agents come.
Have all the realtors. That's always more of like a luxury thing.
Yeah, 100% luxury thing.
Yeah, but the other things that we had to do, like, I didn't do a lot of luxury listings, but I had one or two, right? And you had to do the bus tour thing. And for those of you guys who don't know, it's like you and like 11 other realtors would all take turns walking through each other's listings and collecting feedback.
Yes.
So you can give it to the homeowner. It's like, here's what everyone else is saying, so that you weren't the bad guy.
Right. They still do it.
Yeah, here's what the other realtors are saying about your property, if you want to get your home sold.
Yep.
Right, it's this whole like...
Caravans.
Yeah.
Yeah, they called them caravans. Right. They still do them.
Yeah, I know they'll still do them, but man, like, I hated those more than open houses.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because open houses, I don't know. Like for me, I might have been wasting time, but I was doing something with that time.
Right. Right.
And I only did like 3, like ever in my career.
Really?
Yeah, I hated it.
Oh, wow.
But, I would have at least my laptop with me,
right,
doing something.
Right.
Those broker tours, like you have to like mingle with other realtors, and it just wasn't for me.
It sucks the life out of you, man. It really does.
Like, I'm so traumatized.
Yeah.
In those memories of those broker tours.
It's funny because I still own a brokerage, and who runs it should be like, "Hey, they're having it," and I'm like, "Don't even think about telling me about it. I don't want to know. You can go. I'm not going."
Yeah.
But I don't care who's going to be there. I'm not going.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's going to be there.
No.
So, all right. So offering more options. It has to be more than that, right? Because 350 to 7 million, that's 20x.
Yeah.
It's 20x difference.
Right.
So offering more options, for sure that makes a difference.
Right.
What are some other things, right? For the people that are watching that are wearing their realtor hat, because we know a lot of them, Jose and CG, right? Who still wears the realtor hat.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that are focused on the realtor side that are either looking to, dabble in the dark side with us,
right,
or fully embrace it. What are some other things?
Yeah. Another thing we changed was our marketing. So our marketing went more distressed homeowners that need to sell versus those that absolutely want to sell, right? I don't want to do business with those I want to sell. I want to do the people that need to sell. So before, when I was circle prospecting in these high-end areas, it would take us a while to get deals. So what changed is we would go now starting pre-foreclosures, probates, notice of defaults, the tired landlords, not the non-absentee, because absentees, that a lot of those are wants, right? Some of them are needs, but a lot of them are wants. So we started going after the people that needed to sell, the homes that they had to do something with. And that opened options, because with that, I can still take it as a listing. We still take listings today. We still take a lot of listings today. Yeah. But we're positioning ourselves where when we go on an appointment, we have that ability. We have that option. If I'm walking into a 8,000 square foot, fully remodeled on the beach home, you ain't wholesaling that thing, right? It's one option, and that's listing it for sale, right? So for us, it was changing that. And then also, I believe agents get stuck in the traditional marketing. I believe the real estate industry, agent-wise, they haven't evolved from realizing what is real marketing, right? They get stuck in the door knock, they get stuck in the center of influence, and they get stuck in the expired listings. When are you ever going to take that money and reinvest it back into your business? There are very few agents in Southern California that do it, and they do it because they put money back into their business, right? They change their marketing. Like a good example is Tim Smith. Tim Smith, he's like mainly like all of his videos. I don't know if you've seen that Teach Me How to Duffy. So he sold this house with a Duffy boat. And you know that Teach Me How to Duffy? It's the Teach Me How to Duffy. And it's about a Duffy. And they pulled up in this Cadillac on rims, and they're getting in this Duffy boat. But it's about the house. It's he had millions of views. And the house sold from the views, right? It was crazy. But it's being able to change the marketing. I know as an agent from the agency I was involved in, it was pound the phones, pound the doors, 15, 20-year-old veterans still pounding the phones, 50 contacts every day, never duplicating themselves, never leveraging themselves, never marketing. So I believe there's a big miscommunication to what marketing really is. And companies like EXP and all of these, what I believe just downline companies that it's now, how can I get you to join me so I can go sell less real estate and make more money on your downline, on my downline.
So I completely agree with the marketing side. And that's why like Craig Proctor was so revolutionary for me, right? And that was again like 2011. But it was when I started marketing to people that needed to sell versus people that wanted to sell. Like I was saying earlier, like 7-8% commission. Like it was not unusual.
No, it wasn't.
To get 7-8% commission because we were willing to do more.
Right.
Well, either we're going to buy it or wholesale it or list it, but paying me 8% on your home sold guarantee or I'll buy it still netted more than all the other cash offers.
Right.
So like people were thinking like, how do you get more commissions? Like I am providing more certainty, more convenience, ease and service to get the property sold. And like you said, like we have to put some money into it to get it sold. Put some money in to get it sold because I'm looking at I'm going to get 8% on this
100%
in 30 to 90 days.
Right.
But yeah, like the marketing for sure is so lacking because, and maybe I'm just judging just the 80% of the realtors, but like the fact that I still see realtor faces at the grocery store in the shopping cart,
it mind boggles me.
that's still there.
Yeah, it's still there at a high level. At a high level.
Yeah, there's still the, I still get the direct mail of I'm the #1 agent in this neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, you're doing the same stuff that they were doing back in the 70s.
Exactly.
Right? Like, I respect the hell out of Mike Ferry.
Right.
He's done some incredible stuff.
Yes.
Right? But he's still teaching the stuff that he was doing in the 70s.
Yep. And there are agents that are still following
that system in the 70s. Now, look, that system works. Can't argue. It works. But man, can't take a vacation.
You eventually got to graduate. You got to
ask more. Right. You were saying, like, just take that money, put it in marketing. Right. You were just hanging out with Doug Hopkins a moment ago.
Yes.
Right. He did in the month of February, which is only 28 days, not even a full 30, 31 days. I think he said he put 120 something properties under contract.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's buying houses and he's listing houses.
That's what you guys think about real fast. 28 days, 100 contracts.
120 something.
120 something.
Right? 4 a day. 4 contracts a day. Right? But we got these. Let me put my face on the shopping cart at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Realtors. Anyway, that's enough blasting on realtors.
But in essence, guys, go to people that have to sell. Not only that, real fast, Steve, I also remember talking to the people that wanted to sell, and it was like pulling it literally pulling teeth, right? Because I remember trying to convince you to sell your house, even though you really didn't even want to sell your house, right? You didn't need to. I'm sorry, you didn't need to. You kind of wanted to, and I'm sitting here trying to convince you when I could have been talking to 10 other people who needed to.
Right. Yeah, and that was, again, I was bringing up Buffini earlier, but like that was the context that one of the things he always, I remember from his, 100 Days of Greatness was that, you got 5 people that you talk to. Out of every 5, one of them just sucks the life out of you.
Yep.
And then you give bad service for the other 4.
Yep.
And that's kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right? Like you could have had 10 quality conversations with people that needed to sell. And you're sitting over here convincing this one guy.
Who doesn't need
to sell.
Nope.
And he's demanding you, he's telling you how great his property is, how great the view is, right? And how like he's doing you a favor, like you have the listing.
Yep, exactly. And then you have to kiss their ass to get to continue to service it. So I'll never forget, I'm leaving an appointment. I'm on the freeway. And this when Seller's Advantage was blowing up. And all of a sudden, I'm starting to see these billboards, right? And I'm like, dude, what is going on, right? And then somebody says, oh, dude, they do 200 deals a year. And I'm like, I don't see any agents doing billboards. Then I saw them on TV. And then I'm like starting to connect the dots. And I'm like, wow. And then remember, what was that? The caveman?
We Buy Ugly Houses.
We Buy Ugly Houses. And then I saw them. And then people that were joining them, that would blow up. And I'm like, okay, there has to be something here, right? And this was before taking a course or listening to anybody that I realized there's a marketing piece missing. And that's what made me really shift.
Yeah. Well, there's a good case study. 72 sold.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, they're not really relevant anymore, right? Once the market got challenging, which we all knew was going to happen. But that's a really good case study.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like they blew up. I mean, they were everywhere. right? They were you couldn't watch a Cardinals game, you couldn't watch a Suns game, anywhere and everywhere.
Yep.
Right now, I appreciated that they were doing that because they weren't. I wouldn't say that they weren't competing against me. They were in a bit, but they're using my title company, so like
A little bit.
so it wasn't so bad. This is back when title company was just printing money for fun.
Yeah.
Things got a little bit different, but I think the other thing too, because we were talking about convincing. So we have the great honor of working with you and your team on the sales side.
Yeah.
So can you share a little bit about your experience there?
Yeah. So, everything I've been trying to get my salespeople to understand, Papa Steve's done a great job of doing so. Right. It's changed the game for us because, what I love about your sales training, Steve, is it puts everything I've learned into one sales training, right? Like, as you talk about how to approach an appointment, you talk about the ways in which you verbally communicate with them, how to communicate, right? All of that, I believe, is the secret sauce to this business. Because again, we can all generate the same leads, but what separates you from getting the contract over the other person?
Yeah.
It's not how good looking you are. Trust me, that doesn't work, right? It's about how you can professionally, right? Your communication piece, get them to understand that you're the person they need to sign with.
Yeah.
And that's what your sales training does. I mean, dude, my guys walk in every Tuesday hyped up out of their mind. They're like, or we're on a text, right? Mm-hmm. So as you're saying stuff, we're responding like, dude, that was good, right? That was really good. And what it's done is it's really, we were with 1, 2, 3, 4 different systems. Mm-hmm. It's putting these systems just into one, right? Yeah. And very grateful for it.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And our guys love it.
Yeah, appreciate you, your team, appreciate Nick, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember when you reached out, I was like, hey, I think we're ready for it. I was like, okay, man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, happy. It's a pleasure always to work with you guys. One thing I wrote down here, I didn't say this earlier. So at some point, somewhere along the line, you lost a significant amount of money and you turned that into something positive.
Yeah.
What was that?
So I decided to buy houses in Arizona. Mind you guys, I'm in California. And somebody says, hey, we could buy houses in Arizona, team up with the wrong partner. Long story short, I buy these pieces of wood on dirt in South Phoenix. It's not even a house, just pieces of wood on dirt, no foundation. I buy an $800,000 house in Scottsdale. I buy a $600,000 house in Central Phoenix, and then we buy a North Dakota house. Now, at the time, I'm in the process of shutting down one of my brokerages. So I'm just not thinking, right? Mistake on my end, and I'm just giving this contractor money, right? Just giving him money. Back up a little bit. We did one flip, made 20 grand each, thought he was good, just took one deal for it, just started giving him money. Mm-hmm. Well, then I'm asking for progress pictures. I'm getting these progress pictures, and then finally someday I sit down and I'm like, something doesn't look right. So I get in the car and I drive down here. Not one house is touched. Not one house is touched. No remodel has done. He's sending me pictures of other remodels that he's using my money for, right?
Oh.
Yes. So I finally meet him. I finally see the projects. By the time, and I didn't know about list pendants. I didn't know about any of this stuff, right? I was still super green. And I'm realizing, oh, wow, like this is bad. Well, at that same time, he vanishes. Till this day, he's vanished. I'm trying to find him. He's vanished. We're still in the lawsuits, vanished. So total, when you look at everything from start to finish, I lose $1 million. $1 million gone. And I have to take a look at what's next. Mm-hmm. And it was the biggest blessing in my life. It was the biggest setback I've ever occurred. And right, we've heard Tony say, life doesn't happen till you, it happens for you, right? We've all heard that cliche saying, but it really did, right? It taught me so much about this game. It also taught me the resilience to keep moving forward, right? All that mindset work I did at the beginning, it helped me during that time.
You tested your beliefs.
Right. Yeah, tested the BS, right? Yeah. Is this working or not?
Yeah.
And it made me so much stronger. Now we know what to do, right? But you guys, when you're going through that, because you're going to go through, there's a matter of time before you lose money on a deal. If you're flipping houses, it's going to happen. Now, don't make the same mistake. You're not going to lose $1 million, right? But I mean, how many deals do you know where somebody just gets in, market changes, whatever the case may be? Mm-hmm. It's in those times where I believe the world, God is testing you to figure out how much do you really want this, right?
Yeah.
So I was coming down here every week, finally sold the first one. The second one, this is crazy. I don't think I told the story. The second one, I have a private lender on this deal. I have a guy, there's no way I'm out of this. This is the $800,000 house in Scottsdale. There's no way I'm getting out of this thing. No way, right? There's no way I'm putting it on the market. I'm getting $700,000. I don't have $100,000 to recuperate the loss. So long story short, I do a seller finance deal. on a house that's not even my money, on a private money. I do a seller finance deal, just praying that God's gonna send me somebody, right? He sends me this guy. This guy shows up in an old beat up 250, old like 70s Ford F-250. If you guys know, like, mind you, I'm like, holy shit. I just signed this house as a seller finance deal. This guy says he's gonna refinance, do a cash out refi and get me paid off in 6 months.
Yeah.
God must have been with me because he did it.
Yeah.
And in 6 months, he did a refinance, got me out of the deal. And it put everything together, right? It made me realize that we just have to keep going. No matter what you're going through, just keep going. Have faith it's going to work out, and then keep the right people around you, right? I was calling my coach every day. He was walking me through it, helping me through it. It was the toughest, but the most liberating, and I say liberating because it really was time of my life.
Yeah. Did he put the money into the property so that he could
so he could refinance it?
You ever look at it, what it looked like after?
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably worth $2 million now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, shutting down your brokerage, were you doing wholesaling yet?
No, we had just started to do wholesale.
Started wholesaling.
Yeah.
How much of this was poor planning, and
all of it,
trying to do too much of it, and how much of this was Adrian's ego?
All of it. It was poor planning and it was ego, because I thought that I was untouchable, right? I thought that nothing can happen to me, right? I've done these flips before, right? I got it. I have these access to a private money. I got it, right? No big deal. You know, if I look at it, it was all ego.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was me trying to flip out of state because it was trendy to flip out of state. Everybody was talking about going out of state. And I remember telling Nick, and Nick goes, something don't feel right, man. He goes, something doesn't feel right. And this is where trusting your partner comes into play, right? And I apologized to him. I'm like, dude, I should have listened to you. I owe you a huge apology. I should have listened to you. Because he told me, he's like, dude, something doesn't smell right. But I had so much going on. I let my ego get in the way. I thought I was way bigger than what I was. And life took a pin and just popped that balloon real fast.
Yeah. It's I don't know how many humility lessons I've had in going to business for myself, but I've lost count.
Yeah.
Because every time you're like, man, I got this figured out.
And we don't.
We got it. This is it. Got all to get put together. And then you get served a giant piece of humble pie. What was it? I'm in a different mastermind, and there's this kid, right? The mastermind's $500 a month. It's nothing crazy, right? And so there's this kid in there, and he's like, hey, I'm trying to figure this out, and so on, right? And this is in the Discord. And he had mentioned that he was 18 years old. And I was like, you're trying to figure all this out right now. You're trying to have all the answers right now. Like, you've got time. Like, so many of us would happily give it all back.
All of it.
To start over at 18 with what we know now.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
We'd give it all back to start it over right now, right? It's like, you got time. And his response was like, I don't have time. I need to make this work. I don't have time. I don't have time to waste, was his response, right? Like, he's a young, hungry go-getter, right? And someone DM'd me because we're in a mastermind together, and he used the best phrase, which was, the hammer of humility is upon him, right? It was like,
matter of time.
Just a matter of time, right? Like, I'm not trying to show my ego here, but like, the message that my friend was trying to send me was like, he has no idea who is trying to advise him.
Right.
Right. And I'm not saying here because like I got it all figured out.
No, we don't.
It's just I've screwed up a lot.
100%.
Right.
Yep.
So, but the hammer of humility is like one of my new
hammer of humility.
Right.
I like
one of my
that.
new favorite phrases, right? Because we've had the velvet hammer, right?
Right.
Someone needs to come like make this right, make it hurt a little bit, not too much, right? That's the velvet hammer. And we get the hammer of humility. I love that.
That's so good. And I'll never forget. Right after that, I had a really good friend tell me every time you think you have it all figured out is the day you lose. So now I don't have anything figured out. I don't have when people ask, I'm like, dude, I have no idea. I'm still trying to figure it out. I have no idea what I'm doing. Right. And I'm me humbling myself to know we don't have it figured out. And I come to the team every day and I'm like, you guys, let's be honest. We still don't have this figured out. So every day, let's find a way to get better. Every day, let's find a way.
We have a pretty good idea.
Right.
But we're open to changes.
Open to changes. And I believe, you have to get served some hammers of humility until you can control your ego enough to get there, right? But it took a while. It took all of my 20s. It took all of my 20s, Steve, buying dumb shit, buying stuff I didn't, bunch of humility hammers for me to realize, whoa, bro, you need to slow down, and this is where you need to stay, right? And every time you go here, life's going to kick you back down to where you need to be.
It does a pretty good job of that.
I learn.
It's like undefeated.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
I have not been able to stay up here. No, there's always that all right, you're feeling pretty good.
And if you do, it's just a matter of time before something's coming.
Yeah, it's
right?
undefeated. The hammer is undefeated. Now, you have a partner. Talk to me about that dynamic, because there are a lot of partnerships I've seen where it has not worked out.
Yeah.
I even ended a partnership recently on good terms. Right? It's like, hey, look, our visions are no longer in alignment. Right?
That happens.
It's not a bad thing, right? Like you go this way, I go that way, right? And we're on good terms, and we still talk.
Right.
Like, that's probably the only partnership where we ended where we still talk. Right?
That's good.
And so, talk to me about how you handle a partnership where it still feels like you're both on the same team, and not like, every once in a while, like, what's he doing over there?
Hey, my name is Brian. I'm a real estate investor. Ian's sales training has helped me buy more houses at a deeper discount. Most recently, Ian helped me reframe a question, which resulted in me buying a house for less money than other offers the seller had on the table. If you're considering sales training, I don't think you can go wrong with Ian's.
I'm filming this video for the man himself, Mr. Ian Ross. The guy crushes. The guy's the best person in sales I've ever seen. I've invested elsewhere and I haven't got the same results. I've gone from being a seller, making 5K a month, to being a hybrid role, making 11K a month, to now be 4 months down the line from 5K to on a closing opportunity, inbound, full calendar, with the best opportunity, the best offer in my space. OTE is around 20K a month from month 2. So I've gone from 5K to 20K. If that's not a return on your investment, I don't know what is, man. If you're a salesperson and you don't invest in sales training, you're going to get left behind, because your job is to be better at sales, and sales training directly makes you more money.
If you like what you just heard and you'd like to have similar types of results, similar success, text CLOSE, CLOSE, to 33777, and we'll see if you qualify to join Advanced Sales Mastery. We are taking people from good to great.
Don't get me wrong, we've had those moments. We have our challenges. Got into a big one at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Got into one last year, right? But what I love about Nick and I is we both understand each other's strengths, and it's taken some time to get there, but he's accepted mine and I've accepted his. We're also two completely different people, right? I'm very much on stage yelling, screaming at the crowd, trying to get them to move, right? Yeah. And Nick's more there when they finally need help, bring them in, sit them down, help them figure it out, right? So we're two different people, and I think for a partnership, that plays a big role, because I used to be in a partnership where we were both the visionary, high chargers, and we were just two rams just butting each other's heads back and forth, and we got nowhere. And when that partnership ended, it ended badly, right?
Yeah.
So
fireworks,
huge fireworks, even till this day, right? It's not, and I've released it, but for Nick and I, we're blessed because we're two completely different people, right? He's much more humbler and calmer than I am, right? I'm much more hard charge, lead the field, push, but yet he's there to pull me down. And he's also there for that back end support, right? He's the one that makes the people feel good in the office. I'm the one that pisses everybody off, right? Yeah. But you need the two. Right. And we've had our issues. We've gone back and forth on that, but also being able to be humble enough to let the other person lead, be humble enough to be, you know what, you're right. Go ahead and do what you got to do. So for like Dispo, he runs all of Dispo. I'm never sticking my nose in Dispo, right? I mean, recently I'm like, hey, we need to review some SOPs, but yet he's the one like, all right, boom, this is what we got. And then I'll come in and, all right, cool. I trust what you're doing. And having that trust in your partner. Right. Nick and I battled with the trust at the beginning, and then we got it locked in. Right. And there's times where one of us will make a mistake, but we're humble enough to come back and put our egos in line. Yeah. And we've had screaming matches at each other. Right. Don't get me wrong. We've had those moments, but at the end of the day, we call each other. I'm sorry. Cool. It's like a marriage. Yeah. Right. It really is.
For sure. Yeah. I haven't got there yet where we were screaming. I think that's just the way I'm wired.
Yeah.
But the problem I have is that when I'm frustrated, and this is not healthy emotionally, it's not emotional maturity, is that I was sharing this with somebody else earlier this week, is that it's not that I get angry and yell at you. It's like, okay, he's not the one, we're done. Actually, we had our quarterly strategic meeting on Tuesday, right? And Gary Harper and Susan Harper, like they're our coaches for Sharper. And they were saying something, and Manny over here, who runs media, there's a question of like, we're talking about how he's got high standards. Excellence, right? and he just does what he does, and we don't have to like micromanage him, which is great. But the question was, they're like, well, Steve, you know, if Manny decides to just kind of just start mailing in a little bit, right? Like, how long would you give him until you would like do something about it? I was like, well, after about 4 days, I'm not gonna have another conversation with him. I'm posting on Facebook.
Looking for someone new.
Looking for someone new, right? Again, this is not the most necessarily emotionally healthy. Like, we're pretty good,
Right.
right? I'll share with you I'm frustrated, but my sharing with you my frustrations, it's like maybe once or twice. There's no yelling. I was like, here's what's going on. You know, this is different than what I expected. You know, like, what are you expecting? Blah, blah. But like after two of those,
You're done.
we're done.
Yeah.
I don't have the emotional maturity to keep fighting it out.
Right.
So that's, I applaud you for that.
Well, that's my immaturity too, because sometimes I just let it go too far.
Yeah.
Right. And we both have to
Right.
realize that. So there is a in between too,
Yeah.
right? You can also be a little too immature about it. Right.
Yeah, that's true as well.
Yeah.
And then I know you said that you want to talk about Tesla a bit. I'm hoping that you say the right things because like Elon's my guy. I hope you say the right things here.
No,
'cause
I love
my guy.
Elon. I love Elon.
Okay. So let's talk about Tesla. What's going on?
I got a question for you though.
Sure.
I got a question for you guys. Do you believe Teslas are real cars?
I believe they're real cars.
Do you believe that that's like a legit car? Like,
It gets me from point A to point B.
fuck, I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say that. Okay, so in a car enthusiast world, right? I say this because I hang out with a lot of car enthusiasts, and they don't get me wrong, they love Elon, but they'll talk about how Teslas aren't real cars. And I know how much you love Teslas, right? So I was talking to my friend, I'm like, I'm gonna just ask him, does he believe Tesla's a real car? She goes, he's gonna give you an analytical answer, like it's gonna get him from point. And so literally exactly what you said.
I mean, what I said to other people, I actually had this conversation with Elias, I want to say yesterday, was that here's the analogy. So we have this new tool, right? Which we need to connect with you and Nick about this. So we have this new tool, because we're including for all our clients, which is we're incorporating AI.
Oh, yes, I
into
heard
our
about
sales
it.
training, right? So like all your sales calls automatically scored by our AI tool, right? So that's being done. That is done, right? The next thing we're working on is the automatic role play, like the forced role play. We're gonna piss some people off. But like 8:30 in the morning, we're calling you to role play.
Oh, yeah.
AI tool,
Oh,
right?
I like that.
Mandatory. So anyway, I bring this up because I was talking to somebody, and there's other people doing this. We're not the only people thinking about doing this.
Right.
There are other people doing it. And the example I said to him actually was this specific example, was that they can make the tool, but they don't have the sales pedigree that Ian and I have, right? So yeah, they can say like this works in this capacity or that capacity, but they don't have Ian's perspective on sales. They don't have my perspective on sales. They have their perspective on sales, which is take it for what it's worth, or they're using ChatGPT's general internet opinion of sales.
Right.
How good is that going to be? Right. And so they can do the AI tool, but they won't beat our AI tool because they're like Tesla in that regard. I love Teslas. I'm on my 4th Tesla, right? My wife has 2. She's on her 2nd one. I'm on my 2nd one. But it'll never be a Mercedes.
Right.
It'll never be a Lexus. Well, maybe not never. Maybe 10 years it will be. Right.
Yeah.
Right? But what I've said is that my car is when a tech company makes a car. It's not a car company making a car. It's a tech company making a car. If Apple made a car, right? This would be, there's a reason why Waymo uses Jaguars or Chryslers. They're using car companies, adding AI to it. Right. Teslas are tech company making cars. Is that where you're going with this?
Yeah, because I believe that a Tesla is more of like a.
Don't offend me here.
I'm not.
I will throw this mic.
I told Doug I was going to talk about this. He said, "Be careful, because Steve will kick you out of there." No, I believe Teslas are. I believe they're electronic machines, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to call that a car, I mean, yeah, right. Now, does it have the whoom, the feel, maybe the feel, right? But it's just different. And I ask because I like Teslas. I like Elon, but I'm a huge component of the engine aspect, right? I just come from I'm a car enthusiast myself when it comes to those type of vehicles. I appreciate what Tesla has, but I also know Tesla takes the entire thinking outside of driving. Because if you think about it, you don't even you get in the car, door closes, press the button, and you can go home.
Yeah, this is an analogy of like playing slots or playing poker. Right.
Oh, I like that.
Right. Playing slots. Like there's literally no thinking. You're just pushing the button. You're not even pulling the lever anymore.
Right. You're still gambling.
Yeah.
You're still driving.
You're just pushing the button. Yeah. So
I just wanted your perspective.
For me, in this regard, it is not a Mercedes, right? Like, I had to go up to Payson for this brokerage thing. This is back when I started my brokerage. And I was looking at it and it's like, and it's cold. So Teslas don't go as far. So I was like, I don't know if I can actually make it there and back, even with the charging stations in between,
right,
in my Tesla. So I called my friend Jamil. I was like, hey, can I borrow your AMG 63 for the day? He's like, sure, whatever. And I took that car,
right,
Payson and back. And man, that car drives like a dream,
right?
It wasn't an AMG 63. It was something nicer than that. It was one of those, like, it was matte where like, he's like, if a rock touches it, like you're gonna have to paint the whole car.
Yeah.
Right?
One of those. Yeah.
One of those. Drove like a dream, right? And I can say for sure, that's a much nicer car than my car. But what is important to me is not the comfort, right? What's important to me is I can go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, right? And I can take a corner going 55 miles an hour.
Right.
Because like I had the Audi S4. That Audi S4, I drove it like a stolen all the time.
Right.
Right. Fun car. And you do like the engine. But my Model 3 will destroy the S4 all day, every day in any performance.
Until you run out of battery.
Until you run out of battery. Until you run out of battery. For sure.
I'm just hating.
Yeah. Well, on a racetrack.
Right.
Right. So long, I guess, as long as the race isn't more than 100 miles.
As long as the race isn't more than 100 miles.
Right? Because if you drive it good, right, it's rated for 200.
good.
See, it's rated for like 230 miles. But if you drive it good, it's not lasting 100.
Yeah, what are you getting? If you're,
if I'm going crazy, like
80.
I one time, but just to see, right, what it actually does to the battery. This is a while ago, so maybe it's better now. But I remember, gunning it, right, like red light. As soon as it hit green, I gunned it, right, to see. I went from 0 to 60, 3 seconds, and I think I was going like 90, right, on a main road. And I looked at the battery, right, because it's like a cell phone. You can see like
right, you can see the window. Yeah,
right. I think I lost like 4 miles
just from that initial boost,
just from gunning it, because it's not efficient.
Yeah,
it's not efficient. I think I lost 4 miles going from 0 to 90 miles an hour, and I don't think I even hit like a third of a mile.
Yeah,
so
that's good, because when I hit that in the gas car, I can see the gas gauge go like that too. So
yeah,
this is relevant, right?
Yeah, it's relevant. So
that's too good. I just had to bring it up. So Tesla fans, I would not,
yeah,
I'm not offending you at all. I'm not offending you.
But yeah, like for me, it's I wanted a Ferrari for the longest time.
Right.
Right? Because those Italian engines, they sound great. Right? So you can't get past an Italian engine. Right? Like BMW, I don't need it. I've had them.
Yeah.
Audi,
same.
Had them.
Yeah.
Right? Don't need it. Mercedes for comfort. Right?
For comfort.
But I'm not a comfort guy. I'm a drive like crazy guy.
Right.
Right? And so the only thing I'm missing is an Italian engine. Now the Porsche, they have the sound come from the speakers in the car.
Yeah.
That's worse.
I do not like that. My neighbor has that. I don't like
that's worse than silence.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. That is worse, because now it's fake.
Yeah, now you're just faking it.
Yeah, faking
At least be quiet.
Yeah. So
That's too good. That's too good.
no, but I love my car. So if someone, so you're talking about, so Dana Point, what are all the different areas you encompass?
Yeah, so we run TV commercials, so our heat map's pretty large.
Mm-hmm.
So our heat map goes a good 250 miles, right? We have from Santa Monica over to all the way down to Carlsbad, touching the tip of San Diego, all the way over to Hemet, Banning, which is the tip of Palm Springs, all the way back over to Santa Monica. So it's a large area, right? But that's the way TV commercials work, right? They're running on heat maps. So our heat map has definitely gone out. Now, what we did before, we were operating in a bigger area. So I actually like this because it condensed it a little bit more. And now our guys are only going about an hour and a half. The furthest. Even then, if it's an hour and a half, we're more than likely calling someone to go on that appointment for us. We're trying to stay within that hour range.
So, and I'm asking this, because someone wants to get a hold of you, but before we do that, banning. I don't like that city. Because that's where I got my first speeding ticket.
In Banning?
In Banning, California.
In a Tesla?
No. This is back when I had a Honda Accord, because this is back when I was going to UC San Diego for grad school.
Oh, you went to UC San Diego?
Yeah, for grad school. And then my best friend was at UCLA for grad school, right? We both grew up middle school together, high school together, ASU together. He went to UCLA, I went to UC San Diego. We were hanging out in LA, right? And so I drove up to hang out with him because a friend had flown in. And then my friend wanted to go down to San Diego. So now, okay, we're hanging out in LA and then we're hanging out in San Diego. But, so I'm going home and my friend who lives in LA has to drive separately so he can drive back. So we have this crazy idea. Let's race.
Great idea.
Great idea. So my first speeding ticket, banned in California.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right?
Have you had many speeding tickets?
I think 3.
Oh, really?
In all the years I've driven crazy, 3. Because the things that we said in our organization, if you can't talk yourself out of a ticket,
right,
you're not a good salesperson.
True.
Right? That's the first thing. And second thing, I'm convinced, this is my theory. I don't know. I can't verify. I can't talk. I've not ran this by police officers. Is that because I'm Asian, they just assume I'm up to something good, right? Like I'm on the way to school, I'm on the way to my
too
job,
good.
I'm on the way to like
a tech program, tech program,
take my kids to school, whatever. I don't know what it is, because like there have been countless times on a main road, I'll drive right by a police officer going 80. Nothing. Right? Multiple times. Like not once, not twice, like consistently.
Right.
And a lot of those times was in Honda Accord. So again, I think like the stereotype is like,
oh yeah, that was the max.
Right?
That was the max.
Well, they're thinking like, maybe they're just thinking it's just another, bad Asian driver. I don't know. But
Steve, that's too funny, dude.
I cut off an unmarked cop car going 105.
And they didn't pull you over?
They pulled me over and I got let go with a warning.
Oh.
Right? Like an unmarked cop car with my radar detector on, right? And like when he pulled me over, I was like, I'm just gonna take this thing down, put it in the glove box or whatever. Not glove box, it's center console. And he's like, how fast are you going? I was like, it's going pretty fast. He's like, what should I do with you? It's like, well, technically over 20 over. So that's criminal. So you have every right to put the cuffs on me, throw me back in the back of your car, back of your cruiser. Like you're every bit within your right to do that. He's like, what should I do? I was like, I'm kind of hoping you let me go with a warning. And it's like,
that's NLP. That was a little NLP.
Yeah.
It was a little.
Well, this is before I learned all this stuff, right? This is back when I was still an engineer.
Right.
And he was like, well, you should know better. It's dangerous, blah, blah, blah. Like, go on your. And again, I think there's some bias there because I'm Asian.
Oh, most definitely. Because I'm Mexican. I can pull over all the damn time.
Yeah.
I can't count how many times I've been pulled over. If I go on my phone right now, there's at least 100 photos of me getting pulled over.
Yeah.
Now, my ticket to pull over ratio is very low. Right. My dad's always talking crap. He's like, and I'm like, hold on. I understand I get pulled over, but let's look at my ticket to the ratio, right?
Yeah.
And he starts laughing. And I'm like, and then let's look at the win ratio from those tickets, right? But it's all sales. I can't count how many clients I have from getting pulled over. I used to make it a game where I'd say how many times I can get pulled over in a month and how many of those will turn into clients. Because they would just, right? And then eventually one of my cop friends was like, you need to stop doing that. Like it just needs to stop. But
it's prospecting.
Yeah, it's prospecting. Exactly. Exactly.
It's a marketing expense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, long way about this. You do business with the wholesalers in your market?
Yeah.
So if someone wants to get a hold of you, do business with you, how do they do that?
Wholesalers, agents, if you agents have a deal, you need help converting it. Wholesalers, you need help a deal, converting it or selling it, you guys. You guys can catch me on Instagram at Adrian Hernandez, or just hit me up on my cell, 949-617-3327.
Simple enough. You have at Adrian Hernandez?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I bought it. And then I have the email at Adrian Hernandez that I bought from the baseball. Well, I didn't buy from the baseball player. We bidded against each other and I won. And then his agency called me a week later and was like, we'll give you double. Too bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say, pretty popular name.
Pretty popular name. So I own the domain and the IG, and the IG was a prospect. I saw him, prospected him 3 weeks, and it's so cool because I bought that handle in 2013 when I bought the handle, and we still follow each other and talk to each other, and it's just some random Adrian Hernandez that I bought his name.
Yeah, I gotta talk to the guy at Steve Trang. I gotta talk to that guy because he has some stupid photo that's like grossly inappropriate.
And is it just one?
Just one. Like it's a private. Like
Yeah,
he doesn't accept any follows. So anyway, I tried buying at Steve honestly, and he wanted a Bitcoin. I was like, I'm not paying a Bitcoin for at Steve. This is back when like Bitcoin was like 63K. I was like, I'm not paying you a Bitcoin for this.
You're out of your mind.
Like if it was like 10K, okay, we can have a conversation.
Right.
Anyway, so someone wants to do business with you, reach out to you. Now, what are some last thoughts you want to leave all the listeners with?
Yeah. Last thoughts, guys. Number one, do good business, right? I think is a good theme of our talk today is do good business. But outside of that, I also want to challenge all of you to not just do good in business, but also do good at home. One thing I'm really working on right now is I've spent so much time and money in personal development. Where's the time and money in your marriage? Where's the time and money with your kids? How do you see the future you, right? So for all of us, we're going to put time and money into our business. Put time and money into yourself and your family. Because at the end of the day, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure.
Yeah, absolutely. We normally would wrap it up here, but we did go to Weekend to Remember last year. It's a very Christian event. So if you're not Christian or offended by that stuff, don't go to that thing. But we went. I'm agnostic. My wife's Buddhist. So it was like, we got a lot of friends that really enjoyed it. Like, let's go check it out. And it was incredible, right? It was 2.5 days, 2.5 day wedding retreat or marriage retreat. And the other thing too, like, because we're so hardwired in real estate to spend stupid amounts of money on personal development.
Right.
I couldn't believe how cheap that event was. Right?
Was it?
Like the hotel was more expensive than the event.
Than the event. Right.
But normally,
20 grand to an event.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like where's the upsell? Like you're in the back, they're talking about how to be a better husband. It's like, I'm waiting for the upsell.
Yeah. Where's the course?
So yeah, I think 100% investing, putting time and money back into what's important is absolutely key. So,
It took me a long time to realize that.
Yeah.
My ego was in the way and thought it would just naturally work out on its own. And it doesn't.
So thanks
Steve,
so much.
Thank
Pleasure.
you. Pleasure.
Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next time.
Let's go.
Shout out to Steve Trang. Jump on the Steve Trang. Disruptors.